Here are today's top stories. What went wrong? The PNP seeks answers to this question as it temporarily halts anti-insurgency operations in Samar following the misencounter with soldiers in the province. Sen Leila de Lima asks the Supreme Court anew to allow her to step out of jail, this time to attend the oral arguments on the Philippines' withdrawal from the International Criminal Court. Foreign investors and telecom companies express interest in setting up businesses in a rebel hotbed in Davao City. And the Health Department is warning the public anew against the spread of the deadly leptospirosis at the onset of the rainy season. Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Philippine National Police has announced the temporary suspension of anti-insurgency operations following the misencounter between soldiers and policemen in Santa Rita, Samar. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde says they will make use of the time to figure out lapses in their operations. Albayalde said the PNP has set no timeline to complete a thorough investigation of the incident, but they want results to come out soon. The PNP chief also stressed that the incident will not affect their relationship with the military. Albayalde was in Tacloban City to visit the policemen wounded in the misencounter. 6 policemen from the PNP Regional Mobile Force Battalion were killed while 9 others were wounded after they figured in a firefight with soldiers of the Army's 87th Infantry Battalion in Santa Rita town on Monday morning. The soldiers were hunting members of the New People's Army, reportedly sighted on the outskirts of Santa Rita and Pinabacdao towns. The PNP awarded financial assistance to the family of each slain policeman, while the wounded were given financial assistance and recognition medals by Albayalde. President Rodrigo Duterte has been invited by Vatican's representative to the Philippines to attend the Day of the Pope celebration in his Manila residence on Friday, June 29. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says Malacanang has yet to confirm if the president is able to attend due to prior commitments. The invitation, which was given by the Papal Nuncio, has been forwarded to the Department of Foreign Affairs. Italian Archbishop Gabriel Giordano Cassia is currently the Apostolic Nuncio to the Philippines. The invitation was revealed amid plans by the government to hold dialogues with the religious sector. Duterte formed a 3-man committee after several religious leaders took notice of his bitter remarks about God and the Catholic Church. The 3-man panel is expected to have an initial talk with the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines today. Senator Leila de Lima may participate in the oral argument against the government's withdrawal from the International Criminal Court. She, however, would have to secure permission from the High Court for such purpose. More on this from Benj Bondoc.
Detained Senator Leila de Lima is seeking the permission of the Supreme Court to allow her to participate in the oral arguments on the petition seeking to invalidate the Philippine government's withdrawal from the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. De Lima, along with Senators Francis Pangilinan, Franklin Drilon, Paulo Benigno Aquino, Risa Ontiveros, and Antonio Trillanes IV, filed a 17-page petition saying that entering into a treaty or an international agreement requires participation of Congress. In withdrawing its membership from the ICC, the petitioners claimed that the respondents committed usurpation of legislative powers. SC spokesperson Theodore Te said that the oral arguments have been moved from July 24 to August 7. De Lima has been detained since February 2017 at the PNP Custodial Center in Camp Crame for her alleged involvement in the proliferation of drug trading inside the New Bilibid prison during her stint as Justice Secretary. 2 petitions are already pending before the High Court questioning the government's withdrawal from the ICC. The second petition was filed by the Philippine Coalition for the ICC led by former Commission on Human Rights Chairperson Eta Rosales. On March 14, President Rodrigo Duterte announced the Philippines' withdrawal from the ICC, citing as baseless, unprecedented, and outrageous attacks against him and his administration as the reason for his withdrawal as a state party. This came after ICC Special Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda began a preliminary examination on the alleged human rights violations amid the Duterte administration's intensified war on drugs. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Bondo.
The Department of Interior and Local Government assures the safety of the negotiators of the Communist Party of the Philippines in the event that peace talks push through in the country. DILG OIC Secretary Año says holding peace talks in the country is a logical and practical option to lower the government's expenses. He says the government also needs the support and input of the people, especially in implementing agreements as in the case of the Bangsamoro Basic Law. The DILG chief urged the CPP, NDF, NPA to show their sincerity by ending their attacks on the government's construction projects and the collection of revolutionary taxes. Año reiterated that the government's reintegration assistance is available to rebels who will surrender their firearms. President Rodrigo Duterte has dismissed criticisms by Filipinos over his controversial statement about God. Malacanang says the president has prepared himself for any type of criticism against him. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque explains that aside from recognizing that he is paid with taxpayers' money, the president accepts any accusation against him as part of the people's freedom of speech. Roque stresses that nobody can accuse a president of curtailing or suppressing free speech since the people are free to say anything about him. He adds that the Duterte administration allows criticisms because the president upholds democracy. Still to come, the Philippines offers assistance to the earthquake victims of Tokyo, Japan. Foreign investors and telecom companies express interest in setting up businesses in a rebel hotbed in Davao City. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
How are laws made? In the Philippines, a law starts off as a bill filed in Congress. It then goes through a process which culminates with its submission to the President for his consideration. Once signed, the bill thereafter becomes law. To learn about how this process works, we have to first look at the Congress of the Philippines. Congress is divided into two chambers. The House of Representatives, which is composed of district and party list representatives, and the Senate, which is composed of senators. A member of Congress can file a bill. A bill is a proposed legislation, hence it's called panukalang batas, which identifies a societal problem and provides a solution to solve that problem through the passage and implementation of a new law. Once a bill is filed, it has to go through 3 readings. For the first reading, the bill is introduced to the plenary and is referred to the appropriate committee. A committee is a body within the House of Representatives composed of a limited number of House members. They concentrate on specific topics for legislation. After receiving the bill, the committee members deliberate the provisions of the bill, bring in resource persons and experts as part of technical working groups, and edit the bill if necessary. The end point of committee action is the resulting committee report of the bill, which is voted upon by the members of the committee. An approved committee report will then be referred to the Committee on Rules, which schedules the same for sponsorship, interpellation, and amendments at the plenary level. The plenary is composed of all members of the House. There, the bill is sponsored by the main proponent of the proposed law. The sponsor will be interpellated by his fellow members. He must defend the bill and reason with his colleagues that it must be passed. Some questions may be asked. Is there really a problem? How does the bill solve that problem? Is this the best approach available? Is the bill constitutional? The members of the House can then introduce amendments to the bill. The bill that survives this process intact or with amendments will then be set for second reading, where all the members will vote to approve the bill in its final form. The bill will then be set for consideration on third reading. At least 3 days before that date, printed copies of the bill are distributed to all the members of the House for their review. On third reading, they vote whether or not to approve it.
The government, through the Department of Foreign Affairs, has offered assistance to Japan, which was struck by a 6.1 magnitude earthquake on June 18. The offer was made during a meeting with Japanese Foreign Minister Taro Kono on Wednesday. DFA Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano conveyed his sympathies to Foreign Minister Kono and the Philippines' readiness to provide assistance for humanitarian efforts. The earthquake that struck western Japan left at least 3 people killed and more than 100 injured. Meanwhile, the two officials also discussed the dynamic and collaborative partnership between Tokyo and Manila in the areas of social security, infrastructure development, defense, and security, as well as in counterterrorism. To recall, the two countries exchanged diplomatic notes on a social security agreement expected to take effect this August. After a hearty meal or exhausting task, who would not want to drink a nice cold and sweet drink? But if you're thinking to get one, you might have to think twice, as labels will soon show the amount of sugar that these drinks contain. Miguel Hill tells us more.
The government may begin requiring manufacturers or traders to put warning labels on high sugar content beverages as early as August this year. On the sidelines of the Department of Trade and Industry's workshop for small and medium enterprises Wednesday, Secretary Ramon Lopez said that his office and the Food and Drug Administration are meeting to craft rules in the placing of warning labels on sugary beverages. The meeting also aims to identify which beverages with high sugar content will be included in the upcoming directive. Initially to be identified are those with about 28 to 30% of sugar per serving. Lopez added that the warning should be placed at the front of the packaging with larger font size. President Rodrigo Duterte himself pushed for this initiative upon learning that powdered juice drinks have high sugar content. Health risks that are linked to consuming too much sugar include diabetes, as well as increase in heart disease, risk factors like obesity, high blood pressure, and inflammation. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
The Philippine economy is expected to accelerate at least 7% in the second quarter of this year, spurred on by the surge of infrastructure spending. Analysts at First Metro Investment Corporation and University of Asia and the Pacific say that the national government's Build, Build, Build program is gaining traction. In the latest issue of the market call Capital Markets Research, it said the surge in infrastructure spending, together with strength in manufacturing, should overcome any weakness in exports in April to June and beyond. FMIC and UANP expected an export turnaround to positive territory before the end of the second quarter, with a faster growth expected in the United States, as well as the expected recoveries of the European Union, Japan, and China. The report further said that remittances from overseas Filipino workers should take a positive turn as the issue on the unilateral ban on deployments to Kuwait has been resolved. The increase in inflows of foreign direct investments is also expected to boost gross domestic product growth starting second quarter. The Philippine economy grew by 6.8% in the first quarter. 3 foreign investors are planning to invest in Pagibato District, a known hotbed of communist insurgency in Davao City. Investors from the Japanese Oji Paper Company and Taiwanese and Malaysian agri-industrial firms visited Pagibato's Mapula and Salapawan villages to explore the possibility of putting up production plants. Telecommunications firms Globe and Smart have also expressed plans to set up towers to connect Pagibato to the information highway. Lieutenant Colonel Darren Comia, commander of the Army 16th Infantry Battalion, sees the investors' interest in Paquibato as a positive sign for the area's economic development. Paquibato, known lair of the new People's Army, has been lagging behind in terms of socioeconomic development because of its peace and order situation. Paquibato is now the focus of the city government's peace and development program after the launch of the Davao City Peace 911, an initiative to bring better social services, infrastructure, livelihood, and other forms of interventions. The Department of Education is pushing for the establishment of additional assessment centers accredited by the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, in Central Luzon. DepEd OIC Assistant Regional Director Benjamin Paraga cited the need to put up more centers to accommodate the increasing number of students taking up technical vocational livelihood courses. The additional centers will ensure that senior high school graduates will be ready to work and prepared to engage into business. As of this month, there are 8 public senior high schools in Central Luzon that operate an assessment center accredited by TESDA and 150 DepEd teaching personnel. The National Certification Assessment held a 99% passing rate for those who graduated in 2018. This school year, 42.8% of grade 11 students and 44.9% in grade 12 took the technical vocational livelihood track in the region. Up next, the DOH warns the public about the spread of leptospirosis at the onset of the rainy season. Youth delegates from around the world are set to meet in the Philippines in a show of friendship and solidarity. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
A bill approved on third reading shall then be transmitted to the Senate. The Senate can concur with the bill. If the Senate concurs, the bill is then enrolled and transmitted to the President for his signature. If the Senate and the House do not agree on the provisions of the bill, a bicameral conference committee is created. This committee is composed of representatives from both the House and the Senate. Together, they harmonize the differences of the bill and produce an amended or new version which is transmitted back to both the House and the Senate for ratification. Once ratified, the bill is enrolled, which means the Speaker of the House, the Secretary General of the House, the President of the Senate, and the Secretary of the Senate sign the bill and transmit it to the President for his signature. The President studies the bill and can either sign it as it is, sign it with vetoed items, which means there are provisions that he rejects, or veto the bill outright. A bill that is signed by the President shall now become law. The law shall then take effect after its publication, either in the Official Gazette or in a newspaper of general circulation.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development is set to launch the Silungan sa Barangay in accordance with President Duterte's order to take minors off the streets. DSWD OIC Secretary Virginia Orogo says they will coordinate the implementation of the project with DILG OIC Secretary Eduardo Año and Undersecretary Martin Dino. Orogo says the DSWD's 72 centers are not enough to take as many street children as needed into their custody. Many of these centers cater to senior citizens in need. For the moment, the agency plans to add at least 50 beds in every DSWD center to accommodate children that may be rescued. The Department of Health warns the public of the spread of leptospirosis with the onset of the rainy season. Health Undersecretary Enrique Domingo says people should avoid wading through floods, especially those with cuts or abrasions on their skin, in case their wounds are soaked in dirty floodwater. The health official advised them to immediately see the doctor. Leptospirosis is an infection caused by bacteria that is spread through the urine of infected animals, especially rats. If left untreated, the DOH said leptospirosis may cause kidney failure, brain damage, massive internal bleeding, and death. From January 1 to January 9 this year, the DOH reported a total of 1,030 cases of leptospirosis nationwide, or 41% higher than last year. Of the total number of cases, around 93 deaths were recorded by the agency. A Cebu-based dragon boat team brought home the gold for the second time in a row at the International Para Dragon Boat Championships. The Philippine Accessible Disability Services Incorporated, or PADS Dragon Boat team, collected a total of 14 points in the two legs of the 400-meter standard boat international Paradragon division. They bested 6 other teams to rule the event. The team dedicated their victory to the plight of thousands of Filipinos with disabilities. The competition was part of the 9th Hong Kong Dragon Boat Carnival held from June 22 to 24 at the Central Harbor Front and Victoria Harbor. This year, about 160 teams with over 4,500 athletes from all over the world battled for a total of 27 championships, including the newly introduced Greater Bay Area Trophy and the much-loved Fancy Dress competition. Dynamic, energetic, full of dreams, these are just some words to describe the youth. These traits are turning into reality as thousands of youth delegates across the globe are meeting for the first time in the Philippines to attend a show of solidarity and friendship. More of this from Benj Bondoc.
The youth have a lot of potential, but some of them who encounter struggles are unable to live their lives to the fullest. Sarah Finch, Program Director of Youth Event GenFest 2018, said she has observed that when faced with difficult circumstances, many young people get depressed and commit suicide. When in such a situation, she advised the youth to look for ways to cope. Finch said that some youth need someone who would reach out and help them discover life's purpose. She cited the story of Lani Lee Justo, a young Filipino woman in Davao who started a sports project, Football for the Youth, to keep them away from addiction to computer games. Recognizing that it takes a lot of young people to change the world, Finch said she hopes that GenFest would enable its attendees to be catalysts, bringing something positive to the young people around them. GenFest 2018 is a 3-day meeting of around 6,000 youth participants from 99 countries belonging to different cultures, ethnicities, and religions from all over the world. With the theme Beyond All Borders, it will be held at the World Trade Center in Pasay City from July 6 to 8 this year. It will include activities promoting the exchange of ideas on the proper use of the arts, economy, environment, and social realities to build unity. It was organized by the Youth for a United World, the youth arm of the Folklore Movement, an international organization of people from all walks of life promoting human rights, international solidarity, and peace. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories. What went wrong? The PNP seeks answers to this question as it temporarily halts anti-insurgency operations in Samar following the misencounter with soldiers in the province. Senator Leila de Lima asked the Supreme Court anew to allow her to step out of jail, this time to attend the oral arguments on the Philippines' withdrawal from the International Criminal Court. Foreign investors and telecom companies express interest in setting up businesses in a rebel hotbed in Davao City. And the Health Department is warning the public anew against the spread of the deadly leptospirosis at the onset of the rainy season. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.